Another race, another PR. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Rob Mazzanti, and today I will go over the DC Half Marathon, which at this point was about a week and a half ago on September 15th. I went out hard during the race and completed the race ninth overall in the time of 109.59, just notching a sub 70. Gun time was 110. I couldn't quite get my way to the front of the line, but just behind the top elite runners in the group, and was able to still finish in, notch out the net time of 109.59. So really happy with this result. It was a good course. Weather was fairly warm, but I think all things considered for an end of summer race, mid 60s, moderate humidity, but it was overcast. So conditions were good for this time of year. Great crowd support, and went out and felt really good. Starting off the race, I went out with the lead pack. The lead runner, the person who won the race, won by a pretty large margin. I want to say completed the race in maybe 103. So I think the second place was closer to 106. So the lead runner went off pretty fast ahead of everyone else. But so technically the chase pack at that point. But I stayed with that group of runners, which was probably close to 20, maybe 25 runners if I had to guess. And I stayed at the back of that pack for the first 2 miles. We went out at about a 5:15 pace, and I felt good. But at the end of the second mile, I started just to think about the race itself, what the ultimate goal was, and what I wanted to accomplish, which, understand this was part of a bigger marathon build. I wanted to certainly run fast, but I didn't want to empty the tank completely going into this and potentially just requiring 2 to 3 weeks of recovery, and understanding that would take away from the quality of my workouts going forward, or at least during that 2 or 3 week period. So I decided actually to pull back a little bit. I knew I could hold 5:20, so I just wanted to pull back just a little bit, go to 5:20, and run at a pace that was still challenging, a PR pace for the half marathon, but something that, based on recent workouts, training up until this point, I felt comfortable that I could hold and still, feel good in a couple of days, for when I resume training. So pulled back a little bit. It was a little bit tough letting the pack get away. So started to see some separation there over the next couple miles. But really at that point, just stayed on track. Really let's say from mile 3 until really the end of the race, let's say maybe until mile 13. But, for the next 10, 11 miles, my pace ranged anywhere between 5:17 and 5:21. So I was really locked in. There were some minor changes in elevation, but mostly was able to just to go off on effort and find a really strong and steady pace. And it was, what I wasn't expecting so much was just that my ability to maintain that. And I was able to, as the race went on, pick off runners. So almost every mile or so, I was able to pass 1, maybe 2 runners. And these were just, runners who probably went out a little too fast and were slowing down. But, just being able to maintain consistent splits, it was a really strong mental benefit, advantage, knowing that I was passing people, as opposed to maybe even running a faster time, but falling off towards the end and getting past. Mentally, it's a really big difference. So, I was running, I felt strong. I didn't feel like I was, gasping for air at any one point in time. Like I said, I was certainly working, but it was comfortably hard. So went through the race mile by mile, just making sure that I was staying on pace. And then the last mile, I picked it up a little bit. I believe I completed the last mile in maybe 5:12-ish. So getting closer to that 10K pace. And then, I saw the finish line in sight and realized that the time was getting, really close to that sub 170 mark. So decided to really go after it, maybe the last 200-300 meters. And like I said, was able to cross the line just under that sub 70 mark. So overall, great race. If you are in DC or really within driving distance, and even if you're not, honestly, if this works out, you know, I think for a lot of fall marathons, this fits in a good point in time where you can go out, check your fitness, and do it in a really fun, you know, on a really fun course. There's a lot of runners, but there's a lot of spectators throughout the course. So very few dead zones. You're running through DC, through Georgetown area. You're in Rock Creek Park, and you know that area is really beautiful. You're running through, you know, some just beautiful areas that's you see a lot of greenery, some large trees, overpasses, bridges, and it's really scenic. So you know, it keeps you engaged throughout the race, and then you know you have pockets of people cheering you on. It just makes for a really fun atmosphere. So again, if you're in the area, or you know you want to spend a weekend in DC, I would definitely circle this one, put it on your calendar. I ran it last year, had a good experience then, and again decided to fit it into my schedule this year, and I'm glad I did. Never hurts to run a PR, but despite the time, still really enjoyed the race, and really glad that I was able to do this. Looking forward into my overall plan, you know, this race wrapped up the end of a 106-mile week. This was the 5th consecutive week at over 100 miles. So I knew I wanted to push pretty hard here without much of a taper, or really any taper at all, and then race this the DC half, knowing the next week was going to be a deload week where, you know, I was going to cut down the mileage, let my body recover a little bit, do a little cross training, spend a little time in the gym, doing a little core work, some light lifting, but nothing really too strenuous. Just a way to activate my muscles in a slightly different way, while letting my body just take a little bit of a break from, you know, just the high volume and the stress that I put in my body for the past 5 weeks. So I just finished up the long run for the week. Actually starting this week with the long run. Last week was a deload week. I only got about 55 total miles. That was a chance for me to let my body recover from the previous 5 weeks where I was doing between 100 and 150 miles per week. So took it easy last week, added in a little bit of cross training. Yesterday, my body was still feeling a little bit sore, so just jumped on the Peloton, did a light spin, got a little blood flow to the legs, and overall just let my body recover a little bit. So starting the week off this week, I started with a 21-mile run. It was a steady state for the first 7 or 8 miles, and I did 28 reps of 1 minute on, fast pace between 5 minutes and 5:15. And then 1 minute at a easy recovery pace, which was somewhere between 7 and 7:30, depending on the elevation and how the rep before felt. So did that for 28 reps, which was about 8 to 10 miles, somewhere in that range. I'll have to go back and look at the stats. But it was a good effort, and just over 5 minutes of total work at that threshold pace between 5 and 5:15. And then cool down with about 4 more miles to finish on 21 for the day. So this week is going to be a build back up into intensity and volume. May not hit quite 100 miles, but we'll see kind of how it goes. Slight adjustment to the plan this week. This was actually supposed to be the beginning of my taper for the Wineglass Marathon. Instead, I'm actually running a race this weekend. I got into the elite field at the Lynchburg, the Virginia 10 miler. So this week I'll do the long run today, followed by another workout somewhere in midweek. Again, something focused on a little bit shorter, but something with some higher intensity. So able to really get the feet moving quickly, something, you know, sub race pace, somewhere probably around the 5 minute range again. The challenging part about the Virginia 10 miler is the course itself. I mean, one, the competition just over the last few years has been really strong. There have been several Olympians in the elite field, so it has a pedigree of being a very competitive race and drawing some really strong runners. So I'm really excited to be part of that group of runners. But the course itself, it's 10 miles, but it's through Lynchburg, which is notoriously hilly. The course has, I want to say, close to 800 to 1,000 feet of elevation for just the 10 miles. So it'll definitely be challenging. It'll be a lot more based on effort rather than just straight hitting pace or certain split time. So unlike some of the other races where I've been able to really kind of lock in a certain pace based on the course and then have a fairly narrow margin, This one, I imagine some of the, sharper downhills, I may be closer to 5 or sub 5 pace. And then some of the more steep incline, I may be closer to 7 or 8 minutes in the middle of a race. So really just want to try to maintain a strong effort. Again, this isn't a goal race, but definitely want to go out and give it a hard run. So, this one will just be kind of see how my body feels and just try to maintain a really strong effort, 95% effort throughout the entire race. Overall, really looking forward to this. Want to just thank the Virginia Marathon for allowing me to get in with the Elite Bib at really just kind of short notice. It's been really well organized and well planned. And just looking over some of the information, the course itself, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun and really well attended. So I'll drive out Friday. There's a luncheon for all the pro athletes. So hopefully I'll get a chance to meet some of the athletes and then also hear a few of their speakers. And then we'll be back to the hotel, resting, recovering, slight shakeout before the race on Saturday morning. So earlier this week on Monday, I did the 21-mile long run that you just saw in Jamestown, Virginia. And that was a really good start to the week. Like I mentioned, I moved that from Sunday, which was the end of the deload week, to Monday. With the travel to DC. Also last week I was there for a wedding reception. I just didn't really feel great on Sunday. So when I woke up, I decided to pivot, move it to Monday, and just understanding that week would be a strong week. And one extra day in my plan wasn't going to change anything. And I think this goes to a much bigger idea and something I encourage all of you to incorporate into your own training, and that's this idea of flexibility. So I don't have a running coach. I think there's a lot of great resources online that I leverage as well to help kind of find inspiration for workouts, understanding the idea of what they're designed to achieve, and then fit them into something that works both for my training, how my body responds, and then something that I enjoy doing. So, this was an example of that where, moving a workout a day earlier, a day later, having some flexibility to still do things that you enjoy that still work with your life, right? So the day before, I was at a wedding reception and I wanted to enjoy it. I mean, I went off my diet a little bit. I ended up having, 4 donuts the night before. They were delicious. Congrats to Riley. I doubt he's watching, but on his marriage and wedding reception, my fiance and I both thoroughly enjoyed our time there, and wish you all the best. But anyway, that's kind of an example of something we both really want to do that was important to us. And instead of trying to just push through a workout and not enjoy it, I want running to be fun. So I decided to push that back a little bit and do it the next day. So have that flexibility to move things around. I think as long as you're getting the quality workouts in, if you miss a day here or there, or you do need to move things around, it's not going to make a big difference. I think consistency is key. You want to make sure you're still running, and you need to make sure that flexibility doesn't turn into missing workouts or missing runs. But if you have some flexibility to move some things around, I think you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, and you'll be able to maintain consistent results over a much longer period of time. And I think that's where you're really going to see some of those, some of that progression stack up over time. But anyway, so I moved the workout to Monday. So this week will actually be a little bit higher mileage than maybe I originally anticipated. Tuesday, just did some really easy running. But, again, just it was nice to not have to worry about looking at the watch, enjoy just getting out, feeling good. And then earlier today's Wednesday, the 25th, and I went out and did one more workout. And I actually changed, again, going back to flexibility, I changed this workout a little bit. I added the Virginia 10 miler to my race schedule, and that is this Saturday. It's a hilly course, it's a challenging course, and to be honest, I really haven't put much elevation into this course, into my training. So without pushing the envelope too much or training too hard, I do want to make sure that I'm fresh going into this race. I changed today's workout to kind of mimic what the course would look like a little bit. So I did a 3-mile warm-up. Then I did 3 miles steady pace, so get the heart rate up a little bit, but below marathon pace by about 15 to 20 seconds. So I did that right around 5:45 pace. And then I jogged to the section where I was doing hills, which was about 4/10 of a mile up hill with just over 100 feet of elevation. So it was a pretty steep grade. very challenging. And then same thing on the way down, 100 feet of decrease in elevation, and again about 4/10 of a mile. So I did that 6 total times, averaging about 5:45 on the uphill. So I was working pretty hard up those hills, and but it was good. You know, it gave me a chance to see how hard I could push, what it felt like. So this Saturday during the race, I have an idea of what my body can handle before I start to build too much lactate, or before I get to the point where I know I can't go any harder. So 5:40 was tough, especially just for that, you know, that distance. But I know it's something I can handle. So if it's, you know, there's a large stretch of uphill towards the latter part of the race, I know, you know, as long as I can make it to that final hill, I can push pretty hard at mid to high end of that 5-minute range. So anywhere between that 5:30 to just under sub 6, I can push hard knowing that I can hold that for, you know, probably a mile, 2 miles if I really need to. So, you know, if I'm just smart managing my energy throughout the race, I can push hard and still have a strong finish towards that race, towards the end of that race. And then anyway, so after I did those 6 hill repeats, I jogged a mile to the track. I did 8 30-second strides at just under 5 minutes, about 4:45. So just went out there and again, just ran fast, but stayed relaxed. So really wanted to make sure that I was running without any tension, and then also just see how my body felt on flatter ground after, you know, running at that point probably close to 15 miles, you know, 3 miles steady, and then the 3 miles cumulative uphill. So with a little bit of fatigue in the legs, I was still able to get my pace up, you know, sub 5 to a pretty good, you know, range, and also still feeling comfortable. And then a jog back home, which was another 2 miles or so, finishing out 17 miles on the day. So this was another good workout, and definitely challenging, but again, you know, I think I made, you know, especially on some of these longer runs, I've been able to finish and feel like that I could keep going. So, you know, this was a good one banked, both going into this weekend, kind of understanding how my body is going to respond to some different changes in elevation. And then also going into the marathon, this is just a confidence builder, knowing I'm able to hit paces, handle elevation pretty well, still with a little bit of time to build. So overall, good week so far. Thursday, I've got a double. I'll do 8 miles or so in the morning, 4 in the evening. Very easy pace. Maybe I'll throw in a few strides tomorrow evening if I'm feeling good. But to be determined based on how today's workout went, how the legs will feel. And then Friday, I'll do the same thing, a little bit less. I'll do 6 miles in the morning, light shakeout, drive to Lynchburg, check in. I have the elite athlete luncheon, and then I'll do a 3 to 4 mile shakeout in the evening just to keep the legs light and fresh, and then the race Saturday morning. So, you know, relax rest of the week, really just focus on good quality sleep, eating as clean as I can, which can be a challenge at times. Still something I'm working on and improving and getting better consistently, but you know, just clean diet, good recovery, good sleep, and that will allow me to really step on course this Saturday, ready to go and give a good hard effort. Stay tuned for the next video where I break down the Virginia 10 miler and let you know how training's going. I also have another kind of big update that that I plan to announce in the next one. So stay tuned for that. It's actually yeah, it's a pretty big announcement, and you may have picked up on it kind of on some of the context clues throughout this video and maybe even the last one, but I'll talk more about that in the next one. So stay tuned and look forward to speaking to you all fairly soon. Thanks.